Hello everyone, welcome to my craft room and my YouTube channel. I'm Shellie Geigle with JS Hobbies and Crafts, and I have another mini album tutorial for you. This is called the Muse. It is an 8.5 by 6.5 with a 3-inch spine. So let's get into this. Now one thing is you will see some picture mats, but not all the ones that can actually fit in here. You will have leftover paper galore to be doing your picture mats with. So let's open this up and we come to our first page, and it is a fold out and it has a nice tuck right back behind to tuck picture mats in there. This is magnetic and it opens up, and there's a place right here for photos, here, and back here we have a tuck spot right behind, and I have some picture mats in here. Just slide them all back in, and then we have a nice size pocket over here. Page 2, what we have here, and this is different, is a magnetic tag that holds things down. Now one thing about this is you can slide little tags or small pictures in back behind this. Just like that. And what we have here is these are just accordions, and I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. Oh, my Dritz is caught. And these come out. And up here, and back here. And then this just helps keep it down. Page 3 and 4 are pocket pages. Now I have this like loaded up. If this is too much, don't worry about it because you can take things out from behind. I just have it so it will store some picture mats or your tags. So back here it will hold quite a few photo mats, and I think that came out really pretty. We move on to the next page, and these two are almost identical. This one has the folder on it, this one does not. This is great for a photo right here, and it's magnetic. Opens up and you can place a photo up here, you can journal, whatever it is that you'd like. We have a lace band, and what's nice about this is it's magnetic and it helps keep everything in there from sliding around. So I have a couple picture mats in there. Oh, and I had a tag too. Over here you can tuck things back behind, and this is a folder. So you can stick some photos, and like I said, you can get back behind there. And this folds out, and we have the same thing. There's some places over here to journal, place a photograph, and you can definitely stuff this full of picture mats and whatnot. Now in this tutorial, I give you 3 templates for 3 different envelopes. And this is one of the ones that we made. And at the end of the tutorial, if you'd like to put some pattern paper on the back, you most certainly can. And they just kind of all slide back in. Next page is our waterfall, and that is magnetic to help it hold down, and it just flips up. So this is a really easy design. Very easy design. Over here is the second envelope that we made, but we made it so that we can tuck pictures back behind. And I made a nice little folder here. I still have yet to put decorative paper in there, but it just slips all back behind this envelope. And this envelope, it is magnetic, so you can pull that up and you can get things in there. So picture mats, everything. So lots of storage in this one. Our next pages, we come to the end and they are identical. They are fold outs. You can place a photo here, here, whatever it is you'd like. So I'm going to fold these out and they are magnetic. And I put some free floating picture mats in here. And you can place photos here, anywhere. And this is the third little envelope that we made, and you can slip small little tags or small little photographs in there. Now we also made this so we can slide a picture back behind, or picture mats. So that is what we will be making today. Be sure to download the free copy of the materials list and the pre-cutting measurement and scoring guide that you're going to need for this, which also gives you the envelopes. Let's move into the materials list. So the first thing that we're going to need to get is 2 packs of the Ciao Bella The Muse. And it is absolutely gorgeous, and even on the flip side we got our cutout sheet, and I just am very excited to work with this. Our album's going to come out amazing. So 2. You're going to want 2 pieces of medium weight chipboard, 12 by 12 size. We will be cutting it down to size. You're going to want 1 sheet, and this is the Crocodile Brown 8.5 by 11 specialty paper. You're going to want 2 packs of the 12 by 12 85-pound Kraft Cardstock, and 10 sheets comes in each. For your picture mat and maybe some other applications, you may want some 65-pound crafty paper. This is 8.5 by 11. Coordinations. Crafty is a good one to use. You will want some Tyvek, and we sell the Tyvek envelopes, and we'll need a couple strips off this. Tyvek is a very hard material to tear. It's for our binding so that our covers and spine never separate. Now in your pre-cutting and scoring guide, in the very back sheet, I have made up some templates for us for envelopes. So there's template 1, template 2, 3, and this extra white sheet is for us to stamp and cut out our flowers and leaves. If you have a die cutting machine, there is the Oakberry Lane Blossoms die and stamp. If you don't have a die cutting machine, that's okay. You can stamp the flower image. As you can see, it's not hard to cut out, and it also comes with some easy cutout of leaves. And I'll be showing you how to ink and get the effect and shape it as well. So here's just a couple examples, and they are covered with, and you'll want Wink of Stella, and you'll want the clear one, and all it is like a clear shimmer that you can brush on, and I'm not sure if you can see the shimmering on this, so you will definitely want a Wink of Stella. Now for the inside of the flowers, what I'm using is the Prills. My go-to is the lemon chiffon, and what this is just these little Prills, and I'll be showing you how to get that on the inside of your flower as well. Along with the flowers that we'll be doing, if you're a die cutter, I have the Leafy Accents stamp and the Leafy Accents die. Those are the ones that come with the long viney ones, and it also comes with some larger leaves. The one I showed you here comes in the Oakberry Lane stamp with the flowers. So, and if you're not a die cutter, because these are pretty intricate to stamp and cut out by hand, what you can do is you can just cut out several of these and you can layer them around to get kind of the same effect. Inks I will be using I'm using the Tim Holtz Distress ink. One is Peeled Paint and one is crushed olive. And that is how I came up with the coloring of this. And I will be showing you how to do this. The next two for the flowers. All you need is one for the main color, and I'm using the Tim Holtz Fired Brick. It's the perfect color. And what I'll show is you the techniques on how to get the lighter, the medium, and a darker colored flower using one ink. And we do use the squeezed lemon brushed on towards the center. So you'll want those two. In the album overview, right before we hit the materials list, you will see on the side of my pages, I have punched using the EK Tools Floral Vine Punch. Now, if you don't have this, that's fine. And I measured this, so if you're using a punch at home, a 1/2 inch punch is perfect. And 1/2 inches you measure from the top to the bottom of your trim. Or this one. This one is about 5/8 inch. You don't want to go any more than that. So this is what I will be using for that. Magnets. You'll want 2 packs of magnets for this album. For certain applications within this album, I am using the Stickles, and this is the Diamond Stickles. For the frame you saw on the cover of the album, I am using the Frank Garcia, it's by Prima, Memory Hardware, and it is this one. I am using lace in this tutorial, so if you want to use the same lace as me, we have that in our store. If not, look in your stash to save a little money. I am using 1 yard of this lace, and I think this is the pointed heart Venice lace. I think that's what it's called. Shame on me. I'll have a link on the pre-cutting and scoring guide to this. Next, about 1 yard of this, and this is our 3.5 inch, I think, pointed lace. I have not used this in a while, and I have been itching to use it. I love my bling on a roll, and it is the silver single strand, and you will want some Zotz singles, and these are the 3D, and these are approximately 1/2 inch in diameter, and these are really sticky and really good. So I'm using a variety of the Heartfelt Creations ones that I really like here. I'm going to be using the Ornate Borders and Pockets, the Regal Borders and Pockets, and a lot of you already have these because this has been out for a year or two, and I wanted to bring it back. The Decorated Pocket Accents and the Petite Pocket Accents dies. And again, you don't have to have any of these. For my closure, I am using the Dritz Extra Large Hook and Eye, and this is the Antique Brass. This package comes with 3 pairs and will only be needing 1, so you will have leftovers for your next project. Adhesives and glues. I'm going to be using a pack of the score tape, 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch. I'll be alternating between the two. And of course, there is my Art Glitter Dries Clear adhesive, and I alternate between this and that throughout the tutorial. And if you get this, there is no glitter in it, that's just the name. You'll definitely want to purchase the metal tip so you have a precision line of glue and you don't waste it. To make this album, you're going to want a scoring board, a scoring tool, a paper cutter, some scissors, a craft knife, and a binder clip. If you don't have binder clips, maybe you have these little neat little ratchet little clamps. But those are things that you're going to want handy here to help you out. So this is a real quick flower shaping and inking tutorial for our flowers. If you do not need this tutorial or want it, just skip ahead and we will start assembling our album. So right now I am just in the Oakberry Lane Blossoms, and the inking of, and I have the stamps all out here. So I'm going to show you the inking technique. So I'll just place this down. Let's grab our fired brick and we will add our ink to it. And you'll want to do several of each size. So that's what we get. And the inking technique on these are going to be the same for these. the smaller petals. Okay, I'm going to grab my leaves really quick. And we're going to grab the darkest of the greens, and that is the peeled paint. And I'm going to stamp that there. So with the fired brick one, I'm going to bring out some I've already shaped. I've got a whole box that I have done with the leaves and the shaping and the coloring. So we're going to be creating light colored, and we are going to be creating a medium color and a darker color. So let's grab our fired brick, and you'll want your squeezed lemon, and we'll start with that one. So I've got some ink on there. I'm going to daub off a little bit. All I'm going to do is swirl, and I'm going to swirl right on the stamped image. This is a quicker, easier technique for cutting out and inking for your flowers rather than cutting out and then inking. So this one is very simple. So I've got the fired brick on here. We're going to start with the dark one. And all I'm going to do is swirl around dark on these. And there we go. So there's our darkest. Now for the medium one, what we're going to do is just swipe out. And you can see it's a lighter color, and you can swirl to blend. It's a lighter. Now for this one, we're going to get off a lot of the ink, and we're just going to lightly swab on some color, as you can see. So we've got 3 different ones. And I'll be cutting that out here shortly, and you can hand cut yours. Once again, these are easy. You don't have to be precise because you can always ink around those edges with a little bit of ink. So, okay, let's go over here. And I've got my darker ink color, and I've got my crushed olive. And we are going to start with the peeled paint. So one thing, if you want to do it right on your stamped image before you cut it out, you can do that, and then you can clean it up once it's cut out. So I'll show you that technique. I'm going to just go around the edges dark and the tip. Okay, and you don't have to worry about being too precise there. So, and I'll just swirl around here. Okay, so we have our color right. Now just daub lightly to get some of your green in there. So you can see, it kind of looks like a mess, but when you cut it out, it looks good. Now, with the crushed olive, we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to do. And it gives different variations. You can also take your peeled paint and go right in the center with a little bit darker. Use the side of your dauber to do that. Okay, let's cut these out. I cut mine out, and I've already cut all my other ones and shaped them, so you'll want a variety of the light and different sizes, the medium and the dark. So what I like to use is the Deluxe Flower Shaping Kit, and this is the bigger one. It comes with a lot more of the stylus nibs here, and it comes with a very large molding mat, a piercing mat, everything you need here. So I'm going to grab this out really quick, and I got my stylus now ready to go. And this is just so simple. So I'm just going to take my flower petals and flip them upside down on the mat, and you have to have it on the mat. So I just have one of those smaller and medium round in there, and all we're going to do is rake it back and forth like this. And I'm going to zoom in. I think you can see it better now. And you're not going to hold it down, your flower, while you do this. You want it to be able to flow free. So just rake it back and forth like this to go around each one of these petals. And I'm using 65-pound cardstock here. Okay, so once you have it like that, come over and go like a V. Make a V. And your flower's going to want to do its own thing. We're breaking up the fibers and we're giving it some shape. So I'll go here and I'm going to press down right here and bring it towards the center. So I'm going to do that here and bring it towards the center. And you'll get a crumply flower petal effect. So that's what you get. All you have to do then is turn it over. As you can see, it's popped up. I'm still using the smaller side of my thing. I'm going to press down and swirl it in the middle until they all pop up. And that's it. And we'll be doing the same thing with these. So you'll want to do several of these and then regroup with me so that we can do some different sizes and put some together. So we're going to create this flower, and remember, you can mix and match your sizes any way you want. And I'm going to step the little one, the lighter one, back in my box here. We'll just work with these. So you can use your glue in the center to attach them. Me, I like quick tacking. So all I'm going to do is put some glue at the bottom, and when I place this, oh, there goes my phone, I'm going to offset it, and then I use the big part to push down. I'm not sure if you saw that. You just kind of take the bigger part of your thing and press down in the center. Whoops, and I got a glue string hanging on there. Okay, next thing is what you're going to want to do is grab your glue, and you're going to want to put some right in the center. And you can go thicker. I'm going to go thicker because I want a bigger round circle there. I'm going to take my Prills, and I usually keep the lid or some sort of something to catch these. So I pour it in generously. As you can see, that is well more than enough. And then I'll pour it back into the lid. And now see what happens? You have your inners, and you can go smaller, you can go larger like I did. And we allow it to completely dry. That is the best way. And then we're going to come back with our wink of Stella here. When the middle's dry, I'm going to do this while it's still wet, so I'll be very careful. And you brush on the petals, your wink of Stella. If you do it before you die cut or cut out, you can do it that way too. However, you have to let your wink of Stella completely dry before die cutting, or you'll be taking it right off. And now, as you can see, I got a shimmer going on, and I'll allow that to dry. So that is all there is for that. Now, for our leaves, if you would like to shape your leaves, you don't have to, but if you'd like to, I like to get the bigger ball, and all you do is lay it down, and I usually just kind of go around like the outside, as you can see, to puff it up a little, and lightly down the middle you can do as well, and it will curl it up like this. And then I like to just press down right here on the stem, and then you put your wink of Stella on there, and it comes out gorgeous. You can ink these any way you like. By the way, you don't have to do the way I did, but as you can see, it comes out lovely. So that is all there is to it. It's very simple. During this tutorial, I will be assembling my flowers as I go. So if you die cut and you shape your flowers, you can throw them into a little bin and we can grab them out together, and that way we can assemble them the way we want, whether it be a medium and a smaller one in the middle, or perhaps we just got a large one with a little bit of the Prills inside. So I haven't decided how I want to do my flowers yet, but I will be doing it as I go. Let's make our album. For our album base, we're going to review our pre-cuts and our scoring. So I'll get my scoring board up over here. Let's talk about the chipboard. What we cut were 2 pieces that were 7" by 8.5". We labeled them cover. The next one was a 3" by 8.5" chipboard, and we labeled that spine. We cut 2 pieces of Tyvek, and they were 1.5" by 7 7/8", and there were 2 of them. What we cut was 2 pieces that were 9" by 10.5". And what we did was we labeled that cover wrap. And this is a different wrapping technique on this album. This is actually my favorite way to wrap albums, so it's a little different than what you're used to. There was also one piece that was 5 by 10.5, and we called that a spine wrap. I'm going to put that with my chipboard and my tie back right now. And those are the first ones we're going to be working with, but let's finish up. Now you cut 4 pieces that were 7 3/8 by 8 1/4 inch, and we labeled those inner pages. And on each one of these, what we did was we laid this on our scoring board. So we were 7 3/8 inch across. At 6 3/4, we scored on each one of them. We also cut a 5" by 8 1/4 inch, and we called that our inner spine cover. So we're going to set this one off to the side with our inner pages. Let's first grab our chipboard. Now this is a no spacing wrap, and this is very simple. Let's grab our 3/8 inch score tape. I have a roll that I am still working on. So what we're going to do, the first thing is we're going to lay our score tape right along the edge of each piece of chipboard all the way around like a picture frame, and we're going to do that for each one. So this is what you should have. I apologize if the camera is bouncing around. Now on the covers, what we're going to do is come over next to this side, and we are going to lay a piece of score tape on each side, just on the covers. Now one thing about score tape I do want to say is you'll want to wash your hands free of any lotions or oils on your fingers and hands. The more you touch the tape, the less potent it becomes. So it's impossible to keep your hands out of it, but just do the best you can by keeping your hands free of any oils. So this is what you should have. There we go. And let me just find the beginning. Here it is. Okay, on this one over here, we're going to go one right down the middle. And we're going to do the same thing we do on this one to this one. So we'll go one down the middle, and we're going to go one spaced out on either side. One down the middle, and one on either side of our covers. The spine, we're going to go one here, and we'll go one here. Now, one thing that's very important if you are a beginner is your tool, your scoring tool, whatever you have to burnish down is very important. And you're going to need to take the time to make sure you press down on that score tape to get all the air out from underneath the adhesive and your chipboard or your cardstock for that matter. So we're going to do that with each one of these. And the reason why this is so important is if you do not get that air out from underneath the score tape adhesive, what happens is over time the air gets trapped under there and it dries out your tape and you can get liftage. So I've burnished everything down pretty good. I'm going to set these off to the side. Grab your 9 by 10.5. We'll start there. And we'll put the spine off with the spine wrap. What we're going to do here is release the score tape backing, and we are going to place these centered. So you have about an inch all the way around. So I'm going to start removing my score tape backing here, and whatever we do with this one, we're going to do the same over here. So you can remove your score tape on this one too. I have the score tape backing off of my chipboard, and as I stated, we're going to go and try to stay even in here, leaving about an inch, and we'll place it down. We're going to do the same thing with this, so let's do that. I have all mine down. Let's grab our 5 by 10.5 spine wrap. We're going to remove the score tape and we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to place it directly in the center, leaving about 1 inch all the way around. So let's do that. I have that down. Now with each one of these, we're going to just flip it over, all of these, and I don't think all of them can fit in the camera, but that's okay for now. We're going to use our burnishing tool and make sure that score tape is burnished down really good on our pieces. Okay, whatever we do on this one, we're going to be doing on these. So because we're using thicker paper, I have found over time and a lot of feedback that sometimes you will get the splits when bending this. So we're going to try to avoid that. So on each one of our pieces, we're going to use our scoring tool or burnisher, and we're just going to run our tool like this, and we're going to go around our piece just like this, around the edges there. So let's do it on each one of these. Our next step, and we're going to do this on each one of these, is take your tool and go up underneath with your tool and run it along the side. And you will see it will come up against your chipboard. And just take your time with it. And all we're doing is just running this up so that it's straight up. Just like that. And we will do that with this side. Stick your tool under there. And we'll run it along the side on each side of our chipboard. Get your tool in there. Okay, let's do that with both of these pieces. Now that we've done that, our next step that we want to do is take your bone folder and just kind of go like this to it now on each one of your sides. And you can take your time at doing this. All we're doing is loosening up some of those fibers along the edges, and we're going to do this to each one of our pieces now. So let's do that with each of these. Now that we've worked the edges of our paper, you're probably going to look a little crinkly in some. That's okay. Don't worry about that. The main idea is to loosen up those fibers enough so it doesn't want to split. Let's grab our 3/8 inch score tape, and on each one of these we're going to do the same thing. So down here you can leave a small little corner open because we will be snipping at an angle, but we're going to lay our score tape along the edges like a picture frame on each one of these. Now that we got the outside on, don't worry about burnishing. We'll burnish it before we start wrapping, but each one of your pieces now should look like this. Our next step, and we're going to do this on each one of them, is you see where the edge of your chipboard is in your paper? We are going to run it like so. Make sure you bring it all the way to the edge there. And we are not on the chipboard, we are on the cardstock. And we're going to line this all the way around on each one of these. So I'm going to show you mine. This is what you should have right now on each one of your pieces. Let's now burnish to get all that air out from underneath and make sure that it makes good contact with our paper. And we're going to do this on each one. We are now ready to clip our edges. And I'll grab this little pair of scissors out. Okay, so you see here I'm looking at the cover, and here is the edge, the corner of my chipboard. We do not want to cut right up against it. We want to leave at least 1/8 of an inch. So we're just going to cut at an angle, okay, on each one, making sure we leave that 1/8 inch gap, because that is where we tuck. And you do not have to be exactly precise with your angles that you cut. Just make sure that they look something like this. We can throw these away. Let's now do this with each one of these, leaving that 1/8 inch gap. All of our pieces now should look like this. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start by folding in our sides. So with your tool, one last time, just kind of do your thing by rubbing over it on each of these sides here. And you'll want to do whatever we do on this one, we'll be doing on this. Let's remove our side score tape. Okay, all we have to do is fold over. And we're going to burnish that down really good. And we're going to do the same over here. Burnishing that down really good. Okay, now we when you remove the score tape on here, make sure do not fold it over yet. We do have to round the corners, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, here is the bottom. We're going to take our tool and we're going to follow it around the edge there so it tucks it in, as you can see. Just like that. And over here we're going to do the same and round it about. Like that. Okay, once you have that, now what you can do is pull this up and over. And you're going to want to burnish really good. And we're going to bring this side around to us, and we're going to come around that edge. And we're going to come around this edge to tuck it in, and then we're going to pull it up and burnish it down really good. And you can use your tool to press down if you have any lumps. And this is what you should have. We're going to do the same thing with this. Remember, the sides come in first. So now we have all three of our chipboard pieces, and they are going to be pushed up next to each other, lining it up, top and bottom, make sure they are the same. Let's grab our tie back. And we're going to want our 3/8 inch score tape. And what we're going to do is line each side all the way down with our 3/8 to start. And we're going to put two pieces lining inside there on each one of these. And we are going to burnish this down. Once you get your score tape on each one of your Tyvek pieces, like so, and you burnish it down, we're going to flip it over and trim off any score tape that might be peeking over. I have both mine ready to go, and I'm going to show you before we place it together. You are going to make sure that one of your color covers and your spine are even top and bottom and pressed together like so. When we remove the score tape, this is going to place centered top to bottom, so you will have the same amount of gap here and up here of your Kraft Cardstock showing. So let's do this. And like I said, it's impossible to keep our fingers out of it, so anything we can do by washing the oils off will help. And once we get this burnished down, it will stay down. So again, make sure they are pressed together, and we're going to try and center this top to bottom as best we can. And we're going to place this over evenly as best we can. Just like that. Now once you have it down, and if you get wrinkles, that's okay, it's going to get covered. We're going to smooth that down really good. Now let's grab our other side, and we're going to butt that right on up next to the spine, making sure top and bottom are even. We're going to remove the score tape, And we're going to try and line it up the same as over there and place it right over that hinge, just like we did there. So let's do that. Perfect. Now you should have a 5 by 8¼ inch inner spine cover. And this is going to place right over that, so no worries about the white showing. Right now you should still be able to open up your book towards you like this. It will not bend backwards. You will end up breaking your album. And books are not meant to do that anyway. Okay, let's line our piece. We're going to go around the outside like a picture frame, and then we're going to line next to each other, filling this whole thing with score tape, because this is an important component. This has to sit completely down with the adhesive completely down, because what happens is on the other side is where our hinged pages go, and we don't want any liftage. So let's go around the outside like a picture frame, and we are going to start laying rows of score tape right next to each other all the way across. I have all mine down, and we are going to flip this over and make sure we clip off any of the score tape that is peeking over. Let's burnish this down really good and take your time on this. I have my album now in front of me. I'm going to remove the score tape backing. Next, I'm going to place it evenly over the Tyvek, but I'm going to leave probably about an 1/8 inch of my other cardstock, the wrap, showing, so it's nice and centered on there. So let's start taking off the score tape backing, and we are going to place this together. I have all the score tape backing off of mine. And as I said, we're going to try and leave about an 1/8 inch top and bottom. We just need to get this over the Tyvek there. I think I called it score tape before, but and try to get that on straight, like so. And we're going to burnish really good. Make sure that's down. And make sure you go around the hinging system really good. And take your time, because if you do not have that score tape burnished down, you can get bubbling. And that's why we add all that score tape anyway, to make sure it grabs. So now once you have that, you should be able to pull up your side and have a nice clean crease with no bubbling. Okay, just like that. And all you're going to see underneath is your wrap a little bit. Once we get our page hinges on there, you won't be able to see any of that. And once you do pull in the sides, take a moment to burnish down a little bit more. Okay, we are ready to get our pages in there. Let's set this off to the side for now. Let's grab our 4 7 3/8 by 8 1/4 inner pages. So what we did was we scored, and now what we're going to do is just fold back and burnish on each one of these. So what we're going to end up doing is punching the edge, and you do need a punch that is a 1/2 inch or no more than 5/8 inch in width, like this, and I have already done one for you. If you do not have one of these, what you're going to want to do is, here's our hinge over here, is measure in a 1/2 inch and chop off. Otherwise your page is going to have too much craft showing on the side. Or what you can do is just lay strips of lace along the side, whichever is easier for you. So I'm going to give you a tip on when you punch these. So notice how my hinge, after I folded it, my peak is down. And with the peak down, that's where you're going to want to punch, like I did, so that you get the cleanest part front. When you fold over, you can see the back part of the punch. It's not that big of a deal. I've done it before like that, where I punched the wrong side and it isn't as clean as the front. So let's do this together. Here is my hinge. and it is up, and my peak is down. And all I'm going to do is slide this in here, like so, and punch. And then, if you've never worked with these before, you will notice there is a picture here, and you will notice it will be slightly different, and it will not line up until you have it exactly over the little image there. Once you have it there, you punch, and that way you get a nice punch. So let's continue and punch all of our edges. Here is a tip, because certain punches will leave an open edge, okay, as you can see. And we really don't want that for our page. This is a beautiful trim punch. I love it, and I've used it before. But don't worry about this, because what you're going to want to do is cut a strip of your scrap Kraft Cardstock about an 1/8 inch thick. What you will do is grab your glue. You don't need to gob it, just make sure you get some glue on there. Okay, and you will place it to the back. So the back side is the side with the peak. And what you will do on the back is you will take this strip all the way to the top of your trim at the edge. If you're only a 1/2 inch, you would only need that much. I hope that made sense. So different options for you. Okay, we have all our pages, right? And so let's turn it so the peak is facing up. Let's grab our 3/8 inch score tape. We're going to line our score tape all the way down. Next, grab your 1/4 inch score tape, and you're going to get along that edge there. And it's going to overlap a little onto the other, and that is quite okay. And we're going to come all the way down. And we're going to do this with each one. So you want to make sure you burnish that one really good at the edge and get that one too. When you're done doing that, that's when we need to flip it over. And if you could see any score tape peeking out, we have to clip that. Otherwise your album might look a little messy there and might catch on other things. So let's go ahead and do that with each one of our pieces. I have all my score tape on the back of my pages, and I'm going to set these off to the side here. Here is my book. Again, it opens towards us. What we're going to do, and I'm going to show you before we do it so you understand. Our peak is down, and it will remain down because that's where our score tape is. So when we remove this, we're going to pull up one of our sides here, and we are going to stick this center, top to bottom, and place it. So an easy guide is, you know, the spine cover that we laid, this Kraft, that should help you line up because you got this even already. The height is the same height as our paper. So if you can pull this up because you want to butt it up against your cover, and you can just place it by looking right down here on that line and placing it. So I'm going to remove my score tape and place it. So here I go. I pull this up. I'm going to line up the bottom edge onto that cardstock and push it all the way up and press. My page is in. And that's how easy it is. And we burnish down really good. We'll fold it over and burnish. Now the rest are going to fall in line really easy for you. And I like to take off the 3/8 inch first and kind of slowly peel that back. And I just kind of run my nail over it so the other one will get down. And here we are. We're going to take this and butt it up against this. And you have your guide right there, and we press and burnish really good. Flip it over and we'll burnish. So I'm going to keep going, and you can start yours if you would like, or just watch first. And as you can see, they are all falling in line. And we got our last one, very easy, and press down. And sometimes you can't always get them on straight, but you won't be able to tell anything. So here is my book this way, here is my book this way. It looks pretty good. So our base album is complete as far as that. If you flip it over, you will be able to see the tie back, but we will be placing a spine cover over the outside. This is my most favorite way to wrap, and sometimes I leave out on the tie back in that middle spot. I don't put any score tape, and I leave the album alone just like this and just cover it, and I like the way it looks. But for this, we do have our Crocodile Brown paper that matches in perfectly with our paper collection. Let's move on into decorating the cover. We are on to decorating our cover. In your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print that looks like this. And on the back is this beautiful print like this. Now, one thing I want to tell you is when you are cutting your craft colored cardstock, you will have a bunch of leftover scrap paper and scrap cardstock from your cuttings. Please place that in a pile by itself so that we can stay organized, because during this tutorial we may be grabbing in there to adding extra things that aren't in the pre-cutting. So also with our decorative paper, we're going to do the same thing. Any leftover cutting, we are going to put in its own pile. Okay, and one thing about me is that we start off slow in the beginning of these tutorials so that everybody can get a hang of how I teach and how I do things, and also how to do certain things. So as we get going in the tutorial, you've already made pockets, all that, it's a little bit quicker. And one thing you will notice is that when I tell you to cut, I always start from the left side and tell you to measure over this way and cut. Pay attention to how I'm holding the paper and the instructions, and your album will come out exactly as you see mine. So let's begin for our covers. What we're going to do is we're going to turn our paper sideways. You will see that the big bulk of the flowers are here and there's some up here. Measure over 8 3/8 inch and cut. Really quick, if you are unfamiliar with certain cuts like 8 3/8 or 8 1/16, do know that I have a ruler that gives you all the measurements. Come over to 8 and then you'll see the 3/8 inch mark. On this side, if we needed 8 1/16, well, here's 8 and here's 1/16. Now, I do have a wooden one, or you can get the clear one. And the clear one, I just attach a 2-inch by 12-inch piece of black cardstock, tape it onto the back, and I start the 2-inch, or I start the 12 inches at the 0, because that's where our starting 0 is. So just in case, I didn't know if you knew I had that or not, to help. So we're making our first cut here. And this is what you should have left over, is a small piece like this. This piece we are going to stick in our reserve pile, and that is what I call our scrap pile, reserves, because we're reserving it to pull back out and use it again. Okay, let's look at our paper like this now. Measure over 6 inches and cut. This is what you should have. Okay, this piece right here I want you to put to the side. Don't put it in your reserve. This is going to be for our back page. We're going to place score tape on this side all the way around like a picture frame. And for this I'll be using my 3/8 inch. And we're going to just line it. And when we're done going around and placing all the score tape that we need to place, we will clip off any overhang. We're going to lay a second piece of score tape on this side and on this side. Now because we have a frame and some weight, we are going to go one down the middle here. And we're going to do the same thing like when we were building the album and place it like that. So let's burnish this down really good. Get all that air bubbles out. We'll flip it over to inspect. If we see any score tape peeking over, we will clip it. Now make sure that you have your page going the right way. We have some green leaves up through here, and you can see the writing. Let's grab our album here, and we can just fold back our pages and lay this flat. We're going to remove the score tape backing, and we're going to bring it all the way to the edge, leaving just about 1/8 inch of your cardstock showing. And you should have approximately about 1/8 here and here. And we're going to place that. I've got the score tape backing off mine. I'm going to scoot this up, trying to keep my head out of the video. So we will do this together. Remember, leave about 1/8 inch and try to keep yourself straight. And we're going to burnish that down. So now we're going to get ready to place this piece. And when we place it, it's going to be the same way, all the way to the left, leaving 1/8 inch of your cardstock showing here, here, and here. So let's place our score tape, and we're going to go all the way around like a picture frame, one next to those side ones, and then we're going to do 1, 2 on that. So I'll show you mine as soon as I am done. So this should be good enough. I'm going to remove the score tape backing and we'll place it together. I've got the score tape backing off mine. It is time to place it. And leave it about 1/8 inch and placing it. Perfect. Let's just bring our album back up. And one thing you can do right now, and be careful of this catching the edge, but you can now fold it like this to loosen it up a little before we get our spine cover on there. Okay, let's set this off to the side. Let's grab our Crocodile Brown specialty paper. And right now, with our Crocodile Brown, we are 8.5 inches this way. That is perfect for us. Okay, we're going to be measuring over here in a moment. Let's just grab that back out so that I think it's easier to get on there for you. You're going to need your pencil and your ruler. So here's our cover. And what we're going to want to do on this is from the edge of your cover chipboard, I want you to measure in about 1.5 inches. Make a pencil mark, and I'm going to do the same down here, about 1.5 inches from that mark. I'll open this up now, make it easier, and I'm going to line my ruler up with those marks, and just to help me, I'm going to draw a line so I know how far over my paper is going to go. Okay, so when we place our paper after we're done cutting, you'll just lay it over that mark and it'll be so much easier for you. We're ready to cut this now. And so 8.5 this way is good. Measure over 6 5/8 inch and cut. The smaller piece put into your reserves. Okay, so what I want you to do, and this will help you with placing your score tape, is you have the line on your front cover. If you have little binder clips, this might be helpful. All we're going to do here is place our piece. We're not going to glue it down just yet, right on that line. If you have a binder clip, like I said, or some clamps, that's great. You can just hold it there. Okay? Your things are going to want to come out on you. It will relax over time, and as soon as we get this on. So we're just going to place it so our sides are straight out from the spine, naturally. We will place our hand over the top to kind of hold it down. And right over here, we're going to give a pinch at that corner. Okay? Just give a pinch at the top where it's supposed to corner there. Okay? So we have that pinch going on. We'll come over here and we're going to pinch at that corner. So now you can see your pinches. I want you to fold lightly. Don't totally use your scoring tool, but just kind of fold lightly. Make sure you're even there. Just kind of press a little bit. That will help. Okay, so with a light crease. We're going to do the same up here. Just fold it over, line it up with the top edge, and kind of pat it down a little. This is going to help. Just pat it. Okay. Let's grab our score tape, and for this we'll use our 3/8 inch. So you can see we have 3 panels now, right? So let's start with this left side panel. When I say panel, we have the score line, so anything in here is the first panel. Here's our middle, and here's our other side. What we're going to do is go down and around like a picture frame within that little panel. So I'm just gonna kind of go to the left of the score line there, go across the bottom, make sure that everything gets adhered down correctly, and we will go 1 down the center for that. Okay, let's tackle this second one around like a picture frame, and then we're going to go 1 down the middle and 1 on either side, and we're going to do this side just like we did this one. And I'll show you mine. Here is mine, and as you can see, my first panel, when I crease it, is here. Here's my middle panel, and then my last panel. So I found over the years of teaching spine wraps, it's easier actually to start with the middle. And what I'm going to do is remove all the score tape just from the middle. I'm going to grab my book, and here is my front cover, and here is my back. And what I'm going to do is, when I remove that, is I'm going to come to the spine that I can see, and this is 8.5. So, and our album may be like a 1/16 higher now than the 8.5 original because of the wrapping. Okay, so we're just going to place that there. We're going to line up our pinches with the sides over here, like so. And this is the time to check before you take the score tape, make sure you are fitting. So if we get that first one on there, you will wrap nicely. So I'll show you how that's done. Okay. Matters not which way you go with this, okay? So I know that it's supposed to come in like this, and then I can just press it up to be even as I can up there. Okay, once I have that, I'm going to just open it up and burnish down really good here. And sometimes you don't get it on that straight. So, all right, now here's the front. I can just flip this down, remove the score tape, and remember, do not lay your album flat when you are wrapping this. This is not an album that you can do that with. So when we take off the score tape here, we're going to hold our album out like this with our hand up here, and we're going to push it over. Okay, I'm going to hold it up now. My hand's up here holding it down. Both of my sides are straight out, and I am going to press and guide it over and smooth it out. And as you can see, it went on straight. Okay, I'll burnish that in a minute. Let's work on this one. Okay, and I'm going to hold it now. Here is my back. I'll use my other hand to hold it in place, and I will push it over to guide it. And sometimes pushing in the middle and smoothing up helps. And then over. Okay. You can go ahead and burnish the best you can over here. Flatten that all out. Over here. Now, here's the thing. You will be able to still go like this and this carefully to work that spine, but not too much. You know, you really don't need to. You want a stiffer book. Okay, looking at your album spine toward you. Grab it, split your pages, and carefully push it down. You can take your 2 fingers and just kind of help it with those lines. And burnish. like so. Oh, my tummy's growling. And then when you go back, you should have a nice crease there. And do the same. Reburnish down on that front and the back. We are all done with that part. That's the hardest part. Now we're just going to be adding our frames and other little elements and our little Dritz, our closure. There are some things on your cut apart page that we are going to be needing. I'm going to put my album to the side, possibly needing. So one thing I like to do is try to keep this whole paper attached. That means if I'm going to cut something out, I try to weave in to cut it out so that the rest of the pieces stay on here so nothing gets lost in the paper shuffle. So what I would like to do, and I'm going to try to use this on the cover, is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of weave around this book in between. Now I'm going to come out and around this flower, and I'm going to come back here and straight off so I can get these off the sheet here. So now what we're going to do is cut out and around each of these pieces. Grab a piece of your scrap Kraft Cardstock. We do need to back these to give them a little more strength, especially because they are on our cover. So I have mine cut out, each one. So what we're going to do is we are going to add glue to the back of this, and we are going to glue that down. And when we cut out and around, we will leave about a 1/16 inch of the brown craft showing around that. This one, we're going to apply glue. We will glue that down, and we do not need any craft border. We just need the thickness, so you can follow around your original cuts. So I'll show you mine as soon as I get this done. So I have cut mine out. Here's what this looks like. And then the book, where I left a little skinny bit of my craft showing around. Very slim piece. Let's set these off to the side. Okay, so let's get our frame out. And I am going to use this to prop this up so maybe you can see a little better. We've got some pieces over here. And what we're going to do is apply glue to this. And here's my album. And we are going to place that center top to bottom there. So let's do that. Add our glue. And we're going to give it a moment right about there. The next thing that we're going to need is our 3D dots and this piece. And I'm going to start applying them. And I'll do one up here. I'll get one over here, and I'll get one over here. One down here should be good, and that should be really good right there. Now when I place this, I'm just going to place that right on in there, just like this, and it will fit nicely. I am using this heart lace here. And all I'm going to do is cut a piece to fit top and bottom flaps. So with this, I'm just going to kind of go right on down the line here. Make sure I get some across. Sometimes it's easier just to go right on your spine and then sop up any glue that doesn't belong there. So it works. Oops, there goes the dogs. Just follow it along the line of the crocodile paper. So I'm going to allow that some time to dry, and I'm going to get up some of the glue that is on my spine there. Next, what you'll do is cut a piece of your bling as long as your lace there, and this is going to take some time to dry. So I'm just going to look right on the edge of my lace. And if you got your lace on crooked or your thing, sometimes this also helps to give the illusion that it's straight. So I'm going to allow this probably about 5 minutes to dry. I think my stuff is still drying there. Grab some of your leaves like this. If you are working with just the smaller ones that came with just the flower stamp, you'll get several of these and start arranging them in a fashion like this. Okay, so that's all we're going to do, and we're going to glue these down. For me, I like a quick tacking. So I am going to be adding some hot glue to this just to help start getting this down. And then I can put glue underneath some of these pieces as well. And I'm going to add some glue to this too just to get it started, and then I can place some regular glue. Our next piece is this. And again, I'm going to swipe some hot glue underneath there. And you can hear my dogs having a good time. And I'm just going to place it at an angle like this. And I'm going to allow that to dry. And sometimes it's just easier to put a little hot glue under there to hold it down. Okay, here is a flower that I want to use. And what I did was I took two of the largest, and this is kind of a medium to dark shade. And I have two large ones layered on each other, and I'm going to place that right here. Whoops. And I'm just going to do the middle just in case I want to layer in something else. Now this is just a large one. It's pale, and I put some of the Prills. I'm going to stick that right here. And one thing is you're going to want to get underneath this petal back here somehow. I'm going to grab another one of these. I'm going to apply glue. Now this slides right in. If you are not using these, you can place different leaves in different places. And we'll glue that down just like that. Oh my God, my dogs sound like spazzes. My next flower are two mediums layered on each other, and it is the medium color. And my Prills are still a bit wet, but that's just going to go right here. I have a small dark one. It's a single layer, and I'm going to stick that right there. I have two small ones that are layered. The bottom is a dark one. The top one is a medium to light one. And my Prills are again still wet because I'm doing this, and I'm going to stick that right there. I have a single layer medium light one, and I'm going to stick that right here. To finish this off, I have a single layered small dark, and I'm going to stick that right here. Just push it right on in there. Let's grab our Stickles now. And what we're going to do is very lightly, not thick, is on these flowers we're going to put some of the Stickles on it so they shimmer up. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the book. And after that dries, I think that'll look really good. Now for added things, if you'd like to add some Stickles to the edges of your flowers, you can, right on the edges there. You can even add Stickles to your some of your leaves and stuff if you'd like. That's completely up to you. And I think that looks really good. While my Stickles are drying, it's perfectly okay for me to at least attach my Dritz before we move into our page 1. So what you're going to need right now is just your hook and your eye. Now we're only going to be attaching one of them. The other one gets attached at the end of the tutorial. So what you're going to want to do is have a binder clip or a clamp handy here. And I am going to put this under my album to prop it up so you can see better. So what you're going to want to do is take your little eye here, and we're just going to go halfway up that. And we're going to try to center this on the side as best we can. I don't know, I can't see over my album. But once you have that down, place that through, hold it, and you can shimmy it in as much as you can. You don't want it to be a tight fit. You want this to be able to go in and out. And once you have that, now you can use your binder clip to clamp it. So everything is drying at once. I'm going to set this off to the side with the rest of my Dritz until the end of the tutorial. So now let's resume in about 15-20 minutes when everything is dry. I decided on our cutout sheet to add one more thing that's going to cover the Dritz. So down here you're going to see the clock, and we're just going to cut the clock out. We'll put this back in our reserves. And we're going to cut out and around the clock. We are going to glue it down to some of our cardstock, and then we will cut out and around that to give it a little more strength. I have mine backed, and my Stickles, of course, are still drying, but what I can do now, and my Dritz is still drying, I can add my glue to this, place this down like that, and clamp it. Reclamp, so it can all dry together. My cover is completely dry now. Another thing is I want to tell you, your Wink of Stella, you can actually add this to like around your clock to make it shiny and stuff like that. So don't be shy with using it. And I think that looks good. We may come back and visit this page, but for now I think we're looking good. Nothing on the spine just yet anyway. I haven't decided what I want to do there. We are now on to page 1. Page 1, let's go over our pre-cuts. So what we did was we cut a piece that was 4.5 inches by 8 inches, and we called this our right fold out. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4.5 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. Our next piece, we cut at 6 1/4 by 8 inch. We called this our left fold out for page 1. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 6 1/4 inches across. We scored at 5 5/8, and we scored at 5 3/4. We cut for page 1 a 6 inch by 8 inch piece, and we called that our page backing. Our last piece that we cut was a 3.5 inch by 6.5 inch. We called this our left inside FO pocket, and there's no scoring on those. In your paper pack you will find this lovely print, and on the back it looks like this. We're going to turn it, and we're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. This piece to the right goes in our reserves for now. Now looking at your sheet like this, measure over 6 inches and cut. This piece over here we are going to set off to the side. Do not put it in your reserves so it does not get cut. And it's for our page 2. We're going to be working with this as our base page. Now grab your 8 inch or 6 inch by 8 inch page backing. Let's flip over this, and we're going to grab our 1/4 inch score tape. We're going to lay our score tape on the back of our sheet all the way around like a picture frame. Once you have that done, now we're going to grab our glue. And when we place our glue, we want to make sure that we place this evenly all over the back of our sheet. So what I'm going to do, so my glue doesn't dry before I can get my score tape off, I'm going to remove my score tape, and then I'm going to place my glue. And we are just going to make sure that we get this evenly. So when we burnish down, this to our page backing, we know that it's going to catch and it'll spread the glue out. So I have it on there, and I'm just going to match up the corner up there. If you don't get it on precisely, that's okay, we can trim off. So once you have that down, you're going to want to make sure you burnish that really good. Get that glue to move around and spread nicely and adhere. And the reason why I like to use the score tape on something like this is because I don't have to worry about some of my edges not getting down. It should be really flat. Okay, you're going to need your craft knife and your cutting mat. What we're going to end up doing is cutting down to about here where the book is, and we're going to slice it all the way up and around, all the way back down to about the side over here of the book. So I'm going to start here and just do the best you can. And once I'm done cutting out, I'm going to show you mine so that you can see. So this is what you should have. And the reason why we backed this was to give it more strength. And when we're gluing this down to our page, it stays better. So as you can see, I have that done. Now in your reserves, pull this back out. On the back, it looks like this. And all we're going to do for this is I think we're going to flip this upside down. The writing's upside down, measure over 6 inches and cut. Okay, flip this over. So all we want to do on this, and you do not want to get any glue on that, is we are going to be placing this up at the top and across like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the outside edge. I'm going to place some glue, and I can wipe up what I don't need, and then I'll just, we know it's going to come across this way. And I'll wipe up if I've gone down too far. Okay, so the writing side is down with that writing. We're just going to come up this way, match it up to our sides there, and you can clip off anything. And wipe that off. And we're going to burnish. Now, after you're done burnishing, make sure she will still pop out and the glue didn't adhere to her. So as you can see now, I'm just going to grab a piece of thing. Now, you can stick things back behind her like a picture mat. So there is our base page. Let's grab our 6 1/4 by 8-inch left fold out. And all we're going to do is fold on both those score lines, and we will burnish. Okay, so we have 2 score lines, inside score line and an outside. On that outside one, I want you to pinch and crease all the way down. What we're going to do is wrap that over the front of our piece so that it's back here, wraps around the back. So once you get that lined up straight, pinch it here and pinch it over here to hold it from sliding. And then we're going to lay it down, and I like to keep my hand down on this so it doesn't move. I'm just going to use this other finger to push back that flap. And I'm going to add some glue, and I'm going to press it down and burnish it until that glue makes its contact. If you feel it sliding, unattach and reattach. So now once you have that, you can push back against that other score line to make a nice flush and straight, and this is what you should have on the side. See? It's our spacing. Next, let's grab our other piece. It is our 4 1/2 by 8-inch right fold out. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold on those score lines. And on the outside score line, we pinch and crease on that one really good. And we're just going to fold it right on over the other one, lining it up. Make sure it's straight there. And once you have it hooked back behind and it's straight, you're going to pinch and put your finger down to hold it. And we will burnish it down. And now what we can do is push back against that other score line to make a nice flat wall. And this is what you should have. So there are our fold outs. Magnets, let's get a couple magnets out. I have a plus and a minus. Let's just fold that open. You can grab either one, it doesn't matter. I got the plus here. We're going to remove that little adhesive backing thingy there so I have something to stick down. Let's move in about 3/4 of an inch, somewhere in the middle there, and press it. And we're going to put the mate on top. And this is where you're going to double check to make sure that you are flush on the side and you are lined up. If you are not, this is your opportunity to line it up. Let's remove this. And we are going to come over. Now don't pull it over. You want it to where it is lightly over. And if you're crooked, this is where you line it up. And you just lightly press. When you open it up, your magnet is placed where it needs to be placed. Okay, let's get our paper for in here. In your paper pack, you will find this print, the one with her hand down there, and on the back it is this beautiful print here. So we're going to turn our page like this. We're going to measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. This is what we have, and we will be needing 2 pieces off this, but let's take this step by step. Measure over 5 1/4 inches and cut. So this piece here we'll just lay down right here. Our next cut, we're going to measure over 3 5/8 inch and cut. And this is what we should have. So for this, we're just going to apply, I think I'll use this for that side. So on this smaller piece that is 3 5/8, we're going to use glue for this. Put some glue on your magnet there. And we're going to come in 1/8 inch in from that outer score line. And that should give you an 1/8 inch over here. And then we'll center that top to bottom. And we're going to burnish that down. Make sure you get over along the side of that magnet. Anytime you use glue or your score tape, you definitely need to burnish it. Okay, we're not ready to lay this piece down. We're just going to hold that off to the side. Grab your 1/4 inch score tape. And I'll move that. My space keeps getting smaller and smaller from all the stuff. What we're going to do is on the bottom of this little panel we just cut, that is 5 1/4 inch wide, we're going to lay a piece of our score tape and burnish that down. Look for your 3 1/2 by 6 1/2 inch left inside fold out pocket. Now, one thing is because we're working with thicker cardstock, sometimes our pockets, when we wrap them, get too tight. So what I want you to do is leave your score tape on, bring this all the way down to the bottom to where you have even hangover on each side of your cardstock. What you can do to help yourself out is, you see where your decorated paper will meet the cardstock, move over 1/16 of an inch from that and make a pencil mark. Over here where the side meets, move over 1/16. That is just a hair. And then what you can do is line this up on your scoring board and place a crease, score it down on those lines. That will help when wrapping this to give you a more spacious pocket. If you don't have problems with that, this is not necessary. So I did score mine to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And let's get our craft knife out and we are going to remove that score tape. Now I'm just going to give myself a little bend in the middle and I'll just kind of fold there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to bring this all the way down to the bottom to where my little score marks or whatever I'm even hang over. Once you have that, start in the middle down here and press out. And then you can use your burnishing tool to make sure that that makes contact. Now just fold this over and bring your flaps into the side. We're going to add our adhesive to those flaps, and this is now a wrap pocket. These are easy pockets, and again, you do not have to use the scoring to do that. You can just wrap it around. If you are going to be using any type of trim, now is the time to die cut it or punch it, and I'll show you what I'm using. If you are not using any trim or anything like that, you do not have to worry about that because when we cut our paper, it will be to size. Okay, I am in the ornate borders and pockets. This is the one that I want to use. I have cut a piece that is 5 1/4 inch wide. I found this in my reserves to save. And all I'm going to do is place this at the top, my one piece, and then of course this. And when I do it, I'm going to make sure that I am even from side to side and even up through here. And I'm going to run that through my die cutter. So whether you're using the same die or not, if this is what you have left where you have it still attached, you just cut in from the side to release this top portion. Then all I want is approximately underneath that to latch on. I'm going to probably go about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch underneath that, and I'll show you mine. And this is what I have. Again, I apologize if the camera bounces around. Okay, so I'm just going to apply my glue back behind here, and I'm going to glue that down. Alrighty, so now all we need to do is apply glue to the back of this, and we are going to glue this down to the inside panel. Make sure you leave at least 1/8 inch away from that outer score line, and it should give you about 1/8 inch away from this. And we'll center that top to bottom and glue it down, and we'll burnish it down. In your reserves, you will have this print with the hand over here. Measure over 5 1/4 inches and cut. Let's flip this over. I'm going to show you a technique I call measure to fit. So now we know we are the right width across, but now we need to trim it up from the bottom. So this is where I grab my pencil, and I'm just going to move it over so I have my trim up here, and I can see just about 1/16 of my Kraft Cardstock at the top. So I can see the bottom of my pocket down here, and I am going to make a pencil mark where that is. And now I'm just going to trim that excess off. Before you glue anything down ever, and this is even if you're building your own, a good tip is you always verify your piece is going to fit before you glue it down. Even though I have been doing this for years and made several, I'm still prone to making a cutting mistake, looking at the measuring on my cutter wrong or whatnot. So it's always best to check. So we're just going to add our glue, and we're going to glue this down, and then we'll burnish it down. Grab your cutout sheet out from your reserves. This up here at the top right hand corner above the hat, let's just clip this out, and I'll set that off to the side. The next thing that I would like to get at, I think, is this. So I'm going to try and keep everything intact by just weaving in and around, because once pieces start detaching, sometimes it's harder or takes more time to locate. So, all right, let's cut out and around this piece. We're also going to cut out and around this piece. Then what we're going to do is glue this piece down to a piece of our Kraft Cardstock. We will then cut out and around, leaving just a sliver of our cardstock showing. And I will show you mine. So my piece here is cut out, and I wanted to show you this. This right here, we are going to just add some glue, and we will place that right there. Now this one, what we're going to do is we're only going to place glue a little underneath from here over and this way. So from under here, that's it. And we're going to angle this so this is upright, and we're going to bring it over to the side of our paper and press. And this is going to give us a little lip to slide little pieces of perhaps a tag or whatever it is we would like to do there. Grab one of your single small flowers and a small leaf. Let's first do the leaves. And for quick tacking, I'm going to grab some hot glue, and I'm going to do it so that they do not go over the edge of my paper. And we're going to stick that flower right here. We are good. So I hope you saw what I did there. I had to move my camera. Okay, so you pull that over, and then on top it should latch. Let's work on this one. In your paper pack, you will have this print. On the back, it is this. Measure over 5 1/4 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. Looking at your sheet like this, measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. We're going to apply glue to this side, I believe. Let's see. Yep, we're going to apply glue to this side, and we are going to glue that down, and we're going to center it side to side. This is what you should have. Let's just shut that. In your reserves, you will have this print. Looking at it like this, measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. Those of us that would like to add our trim, now is the time. And I'll show you what I will be doing. I'm in my Regal Borders and Pockets, and I have this blade, and I have this blade. And what you'll want to do is cut a piece long enough for this, so 8 inches. And then die cut it out, leave yourself some strip, and then you're going to apply glue. Bring it up to the edge and glue that down. Once you have your trim down, if you're using it, and we have this cut, we can now apply glue, and we are going to center that side to side, top to bottom, and glue that down. In your paper pack, you will have this print with a bunch of the little cutouts, and on the back, it looks like this. Place this on your paper cutter, and let's cut out. We'll cut in this way, and then we will cut this way so that we leave all of this intact so we can get that out. This is not on your pre-cutting sheet, but cut a piece. Look in your reserve for cardstock. You should have quite a bit. Cut a piece that is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. What we're going to do is we're going to apply glue to the back of this. Oh, that looks good. That really looks good. Either way, it's your choice. Apply glue, and we're going to mount this, leaving a crafty border all the way around. Now, place this down. If you don't want all the flowers there, flip it over like this. And I think I'm going to go with this side up because I am going to add some flowers to it. That may be the best bet, even though this is quite lovely. We are going to be adding flowers to this page. So we'll go like this. We'll burnish that down. Okay, for this, we want it so we can still tuck things back behind. So I'm going to run a line of glue up like that, probably only about 1 inch up. And then I'm going to come across the bottom here. so that when I lay this at an angle, I can still see my beautiful trim, and it looks good. Make sure no glue seeps over to the other side so you don't glue yourself shut. Take one of your vines that look like this. If you do not have vines, you will use a cluster of your smaller ones. And we are going to glue that down like this. Now when you glue it, your leaves here, leave them unglued. You do want to get some of the right along the edge here, and definitely this, and this glued down. So what I'm trying to say is, by leaving these alone, you can still slide something back behind. Okay? So I'm going to do mine, and I'm going to get these, and then once I do this, then I can start seeing where I need to glue. Okay, so these are left alone. This one, I'm going to put some glue on. And make sure you do not glue your page shut. So I do want to get it on my trim, but I don't want it to seep out the other end. So this is a good time to put a scratch piece of paper back behind. I think you can see that, to catch any glue. Perfect. Let's grab some flowers. I have some flowers that I am getting ready. My Prills are wet in this one. They're dry in that. I have a single layer medium light one. I also grabbed a large medium color and a large dark color. The dark one's on top. And I put my Prills. So here is where this flower is going to go over here. And I think that's beautiful. And we'll put the lighter one right here. Now, these pages have enough space for our flowers, so we shouldn't worry about them getting messed up any. However, you can mash down your flowers a little more if they're too bulky for you. Okay, this page is complete, and I have to be careful. I think that looks great. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for my Prills to dry. Now, once my Prills are dried, I'm going to flip this over. We're going to apply our score tape around the outside like a picture frame. Then we're going to go one down the middle and one on either side. And I'm going to use my 1/4 inch. And then we're going to set this off to the side until after we complete page 2. And then we will be placing these in the book together. We are on page 2, and we set this off to the side. This is our base page for page 2. Let's go over our pre-cuts. We cut 2 pieces that were 4 1/4 by 10 1/4. We labeled it accordion FO. We placed each one on our scoring board, and we scored at a 1/2 inch, 3 3/4, and 7. And we did that with both of them. And then all we had was a 4 by 6 picture mat that we cut for. Okay, this one's really simple to do. And here's our base page. Let's start off, here's our hinge, by folding back that 1/2 inch. So once you have that back behind, we're going to fold this way. And then we're going to fold back and burnishing along the way. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Perfect. So now let's lay these out. Here's the peak and the 1/2 inch. Grab your 3/8 inch score tape, and we're just going to lay a strip right on that little 1/2 inch in between the score line and the outer edge. And we'll clip off any overhang of score tape that happens to get over the sides there. Perfect. So we're just going to take one and we're going to flip it around this way. And then this one goes that way. I'm going to remove the score tape backing on the one with the hinge on this side. I'm going to pull it back, and I'm going to come down here and match it up with the side and bottom and of this as best I can. We'll open that up and burnish. We're going to do the same thing, but up over here. We'll fold it back. We will get that out of the way, and we will line that up with the top, and I cannot see what I'm doing, so I'm going to line that up with the top as best I can. And along the sides, I think I got this on wrong because I'm picking up my paper. And then we will open it up. Oh, I did okay. And burnish really good. Just like that. Now, we may need a couple magnets, 3 for this page. So really quick, what I want you to do is take a magnet, and we're going to flip it upside down. So we're on the back side now. And you can feel where that middle is. We will remove that, and you can feel your hump where they both meet. I guess we'll just go right there with it. Okay, and we'll turn that back over. Now, next thing that we want to do is we're going to be covering all of this before we place another magnet. In your reserves, you have this. What we're going to do is put this on our paper cutter, and we are going to divide up each and every one of these. So one of your pieces is this one. It's kind of greenish. We'll apply glue, and we will bring it down and center that, leaving our crafty border all the way around like a picture frame. Next one we're going to glue down is this one. We'll apply glue, and we will center that, leaving a crafty border all the way around. Now that I have that down, I think what I want to do is grab our 4x6 picture mat. And what you'll want to do is grab the mate to the other one, if it can find it, just like that. I'm going to grab a minus one because I have a plus down below. So I'm just going to let it sit like that. And we are going to remove the backing. And now what we're going to do is lay this centered. So if you want to just go all the way over to the edge of your paper there, the best you can. Make sure you're even, or try to stay even anyway. And we're going to press. Okay, and that's a floating picture mat. Let's get some paper for on the front. In your reserves, you will have this. Measure over 5 7/8 inch and cut. Turn it, measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. And before we glue that down, we're going to verify that's going to give us a sliver of our cardstock all the way around, which it does. And our magnets on the back. Let's apply glue to this, and we're going to glue that down. This is not in your pre-cutting. So in your scraps, cut a 3 3/16 inch piece of cardstock by 4 1/4. What you're going to do is take this, we will apply glue, and we will mount that, leaving ourselves a border. We are going to be placing one more magnet, and it's going to be exposed. So where this is going to go is, and the one that you want is a minus. If you were to place it down, it's going to hit off of our page here, and that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit of glue right underneath there so it captures, and we can still fold back our piece. And we will be placing something up and over, but not just yet. Okay, in your pieces that we've had, and we have these two, we're going to set these off to the side for now. You will have this one, and I think that's the one I'm going to go with right over here. Let's apply our glue, and this is a good place to put a journaling area. And we will go right like that. Now, up in the corner here, you can leave loose for now because we do have to take off that, but I don't want to take it off until we get our piece that sticks out. Next, what we want is, I think we are going to go with, oh, which one? Oh, that's pretty. Let's apply glue to this side and glue that down. All right, we can just fold that back and out of the way. All right. Grab this one, and we're going to apply glue and glue that down right here. Grab this one, and on the back is this, and that's what I want to place down, I think. Of course, that is really pretty too, and you could just line a photo. I think we'll put glue on this side. We still have the back side to go on these. In your reserves, you will have this print. It is 6 inches this way, and I believe it's about 4 inches this way. Measure, oh, and on the back, it looks like this. Oh, put it the right way. Measure over 3 inches and cut. On these two pieces, what you're going to do is apply glue back here, and one goes here, and one goes here. In your reserves, you will have this square piece, and I'm going to give you the measurements on it. This is going this way, 4 1/8 inch. Sorry about the camera. Going this way, we are about 3 5/8. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to measure over 4 inches and cut. Now we are going to turn it and measure over 3 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. Apply glue to this side and glue it down over here. In your reserves, you will have this long piece, 12 inches long. We're going to turn it, measure over 3 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. Next, we're going to measure over 4 inches and cut. You have a choice. You can either glue it down with the trim, or you can flip it over and go this way. I'm going to have this side up. So I'm going to apply glue, and I'm going to glue that down. You should have this piece, let's see. I want this one, I think. And all I'm going to do is apply glue to this side, and we're going to glue that down. Last one is the teapot. On the back, it looks like this. We're going to apply glue, and we're going to glue that down right there. In your reserves, you should have two pieces. One is shorter than the other. The short one is about 7/8 inch this way, and about 4 1/8 inch. This is perfect. This is fine. We'll just place that down. So this one is about 3/4 inch, and it is about 5 inches or so long. And we're going to use this, but we'll cut it down. Looking at your piece like this, measure over 4 1/8 inch and cut. So we'll create little tucks in case you would like to use them. I'm going to use this side up, I think, with the blots up there. So behind here, we're just going to do 3 sides. Real fine line along one long side and then on the other. Now the opening is here, so the glue should be back here. And you're going to come up to about 1/16 of an inch away from that hinge. And we will burnish that down. We're going to do the same thing with this one. And I'm going to make sure the glue goes down 1/16 of an inch away from the hinge. And we'll burnish that down. So now you do have a nice little tuck area here. Wait for your glue to dry though before you start stashing stuff in there, but it should be a nice fit. Okay, let's close this all up. And I think you can weave them in through each other. We need to get for this, so we'll just open that up. And right now we can remove the backing off this. We're going to take that off so that can adhere. On your cutout sheet, I think we are going to take these two pieces right up at the corner, and let's cut out and around each one. Let's start with this piece. I have it all cut out. Now keep in mind you have your score line there. So we're just going to bring it down until the neck of the bottle comes up. And see, I have enough room to clear. So we will press, and then we are going to add glue underneath here and make sure that stays down. Okay, let's flip that up. And this is easy. This one just gets placed right here. And I'm going to bring it over, and it should fit right behind there. Just like that. So let's close this all up. And we have our magnet there. Let's see if we need another one, but I don't think we will. And we have that to place down. Oops. And it should stay. This piece that we have been holding on to, here are the flowers. Rotate it this way, come down. And we are going to bring it up without going over the side of the page and place that. So that should be holding us. All right, grab one of your longer vines or several of your stuff, and we are going to apply glue to this. And this is just going to go right here. So if you have something to tuck behind, it needs to tuck, and that can go off the page a little. Where's my card? So you can still stick a tag back behind. Okay, flowers. Let's grab a large, and this is the medium color. Where is my mat? Here's a mat. There it is. And I'm going to place these down together. And I'm going to tack this down. And I'm going to place this one right up here. I'm going to grab a darker one. And where do I want this little guy? Right here. And I have to let this dry. Okay, so the beauty of this is that we can keep the picture mat off our page to allow this to dry. Isn't that pretty? So with the rest of this, we can flip it over now. And I'm gonna use my 1/4 inch for this. I'm going to apply to the outside like a picture frame. One right down the middle over that magnet. And I think we're going to go 1, 2 on either side. And then we're going to place this in our book. So I have this, and I've taken off the score tape backing. And here is my page 2. This is page 1. We're going to lay page 2 first before we do this one, so that it's easier to line up page 1 with 2 because the chipboard covers are bigger than our inner pages. One thing that might be helpful, because sometimes it is hard to see the second page and everything like that, I'm going to stick something back behind that might be helpful for you to see what I'm doing. Now, because I have 5/8 inch of a trim punch, I may be overlapping this a little bit onto that, which is fine. So the idea of this is you need to be at least 1/8 inch away from your hinge here. And we're going to center that top and bottom just like this and bring it down. Now what I can do is open this up, and you're going to make sure you get around the page edge to make sure it makes contact, and burnish the rest down. So once you have that, this should help keep it. And I did slide something right back behind so you can see you can still get something in there. So here we go. This I want to make sure the top and bottom line up with the top and bottom of this. However, you're going to be over farther so that you can cover up this piece. So I'll do the best I can. And you're away from the hinge. And we are going to place that. And then we can just open this right on up and burnish. Be careful with your cut out in there. And get back behind her. So now we have this, and I can just slide that right back behind her. So page 1 and 2 are complete, and that looks good. Let's move on to page 3 and 4.